Happy birthday, Shakespeare, or is it even your birthday? Born in 1564 and died in 1616 at age 52, we don't actually know the day that he was born on. We just, for easy's sake, put it on the same day that he died, April 23rd. Meat pies grew in popularity in the medieval ages and would still have been readily available in Shakespeare's time. Most Elizabethan bakers would have been using lard, although butter was available too. However, most of the modern recipes use butter. Most homes had an oven, but if you didn't have one, you could bring your pie or whatever else you were baking to the local bakery when they were done baking that day's bread. The womenfolk of Shakespeare's family would have been in charge of the shopping and cooking every day and for Shakespeare's birthday meal. There were lots of markets in London, operated only by London freemen. They could visit several stalls not far from home to get whatever they needed. Some shops could be really tiny, down to only a yard wide, and women would be expected to stay outside to tell the apprentice what they wanted, especially with the giant dresses that some might be wearing. The trick with flaky pastries like this puff pastry is keeping the butter cold. That means that when it goes in the oven, the cold butter is still in chunks in the dough, and when it melts, it steams, lifting up little layers of the dough into the lovely flakiness. I always find this causes some struggles with my warm hands, so I have to work very quickly. Folding our dough into thirds a couple of times here forces some layers into it. This method is similar to how pastry chefs put layers into their croissants. Actually, the main difference between puff pastry and croissants is the use of yeast to make them even lighter. It really does make a difference to have your dough nice and cold, so be sure to refrigerate it overnight. The main meal for Elizabethans was midday dinner, so I'm aiming to have this done by lunch for us today. I'm following my notes on my mom's recipe that she has in her head. I was surprised to learn that many of the ingredients on the long list would have been available to people like Shakespeare's family. Anaheim chilies were concocted recently in New Mexico, basil would have gone bad too easily, and habanero wasn't yet something they had really encountered. Because we lost a bit of flavor, I substituted some of the onion for a bit of shallot. Many spices were arriving to England, and although expensive, they were used in a lot of different dishes. For a birthday meal, it's appropriate to use so many, as they showed wealth and abundance. Cinnamon and sugar were especially popular, and a lot of food was very salty, as that was the only way to preserve meats. Tomatoes were also a popular and newly arrived fruit for Elizabethans. The nice part about this recipe is it all goes in at once. 1 quart of chicken stock, your chicken, spices, tomatoes, garlic, onions, and a bit of salt to taste. While your chicken is cooking at a simmer on low heat, roll out your chilled dough to a 1/4 inch thickness. It won't rise very much in the oven. Try to work quickly so the dough doesn't get too soft and warm. Your dough circle should be big enough to cut about 4 meat pies out of. You're going to need a bigger bottom, I traced a bowl for that, and a bit of a smaller top. I didn't have anything traceable, so I went around a thing that was circular. You can see my dough is starting to get pretty warm and soft. After I cut each circle, I put it on a pan in the fridge to keep it cold enough. Finally, it is time to create our pies. Go ahead and preheat the oven to 400 degrees. And put your cooked chicken breasts in a separate bowl. This makes it a lot easier to pull the chicken apart into tasty little shreds that are full of the absorbed juices from our stew. It's good we picked chicken pies to make for Shakespeare's birthday. Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday are fish days, also Lent and other random days, which adds up to be about 1/3 of the year. Luckily, however, fish includes veal, game, poultry, pretty much anything but beef. However, if you really desperately needed some beef, like, it's your birthday and you want a beef meat pie, you could buy a flesh eater's license to eat beef, or get around the rules some other way. As soon as you've made your pies, put them in the oven for 20 to 25 minutes until they're a nice dark color. Serve them with a spoon, no forks, and a light beer. The water is not very safe to drink. You can finish up with some homemade ice cream, a novelty growing in Elizabethan popularity.